We didn't break up because the love wasn't real. We broke up because our lives were moving in opposite directions and love couldn't bridge the gap. When I met him, I had just left my marriage. I was starting over from scratch, new place, new routines, new sense of self. I was finally asking myself real questions about what I wanted and refusing to shrink my answers. He came into my life steady and kind, emotionally intelligent in a way I wasn't used to. He remembered things I said, he followed up, he made space for feelings instead of arguing with them, but his life was already full. He worked long hours, early mornings, late nights. His phone was always buzzing with work problems he couldn't ignore. When we made plans, they were often tentative, penciled in around meetings and deadlines that always won. There were weeks we only saw each other once. He was financially stable, but locked into obligations, supporting family members, maintaining a lifestyle he couldn't step away from. I, on the other hand, was rebuilding and needed flexibility, emotional presence, and time to feel safe again. That difference mattered more than we wanted to admit. I needed consistency. He could offer intensity, but only in short windows. I'd ask for a weekend together, and he'd hesitate, not because he didn't want to be with me, but because he couldn't justify unplugging. When he did take time off, he was distracted, half present, already stressed about what he was falling behind on. I started planning my life around his availability. He didn't ask me to, but I did it anyway. I moved things, I waited, I told myself this was temporary, that once things calmed down, it would be different, but they never did. Emotionally, we were mismatched in timing. I was ready to build something intentional, to define the relationship. To merge, live slowly but clearly. He was still in survival mode, burned out, stretched thin, afraid of promising something he couldn't sustain. Whenever I brought up the future, he'd say things like, "I just can't think that far ahead right now," or "I don't want to let you down," and I believed him. But what that meant in practice was that I was investing in a relationship with no structure and no guarantees right after leaving one that had already taught me how painful that can be. There was a specific night that clarified everything. I had a rough day, legal paperwork, financial stress, the emotional fallout of starting over. I called him, needing comfort, not solutions, just presence. He answered, distracted, typing, apologizing every few seconds. Eventually he said, "Can we talk about this another time? I just don't have the capacity tonight," and that was fair, but it was also the truth. He didn't have the capacity for the version of love I needed right now. I realized something uncomfortable. Loving him required patience I had already used up in my marriage. And loving me would have required sacrifices he wasn't in a position to make. The imbalance grew quietly. I made emotional space for him. He made logistical space for me when he could. Neither of us was wrong, but neither of us was free enough. The last conversation was painfully clear. I said, "I need someone who can show up consistently, not perfectly, but reliably," he said. "I want to be that person. I'm just not right now," and we both knew right now was doing a lot of work in that sentence. We ended it with honesty instead of resentment. No blocking, no blame, just grief. I still believe that if we had met at a different time, if I wasn't rebuilding, if he wasn't burned out, we could have built something lasting. But love doesn't live in hypotheticals. And sometimes the most painful lesson is this: you can meet the right person and still have to let them go, not because the love was weak, but because the timing demanded more than either of you could give. That doesn't make it any less real. It just makes it impossible. Thanks for watching.